We're in hard times and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
The Christian Star began as a newspaper whose news focus of interest was of Christians, but it's become a lot more than that, covering issues of concerns to our community, covering issues of national, state, local, and political agendas that affect us today. The Christian Star is available free at any 7-Eleven store. So pick up your copy of the Christian Star Bilingual free at 7-Eleven today.
Ahora puedes demostrar tu orgullo hispano mientras manejas en la carretera con la nueva tablilla o placa de auto hispana conmemorando los 500 años del descubrimiento de Florida por Juan Ponce de León.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana este año y harás la diferencia.
Solo 1000 se necesitan para hacerla permanente.
Su donativo ayudará a estudiantes con becas.
Nuestra comunidad se beneficiará con más programas y servicios.
Resalta nuestra cultura, nuestras raíces.
Demostremos que en la unión está la fuerza.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana en el Departamento de Vehículos de Motor más cercano o llama hoy al 321-277-0850.
¿Necesitas un abogado? Detente. No contrates un abogado simplemente por haberlo visto en un anuncio comercial. Lawyers Consumer Directory te ofrece la solución para todo tipo de problemas legales, tales como inmigración, bancarrota, divorcios, entre otros. Y hasta te ayuda a cómo contratar un abogado. No te rompa la cabeza buscando la solución cuando la tienes en tus manos. Adquiérelo gratis, sí, absolutamente gratis en cualquier 7-Eleven.
Hi, I'm Danny Ramos, and welcome to this week's edition of Hispanic Speak Out TV. We've been on the air for 12 years in Central Florida on the I-4 corridor, and we broadcast in the Central Florida counties. And I'm here with Daisy, who's now been a repeat performer on our show, to my dismay, and Jose, which I'm very happy that he's come back. I'm only kidding, by the way. I do that just to tease her a little bit. And Jose is formerly from 810 Radio, I believe. And he's been on the show now for a couple of years. Hi, guys. Hey. What are we going to talk about today? Do you have any particular interest? Let's close off. I just want to close. Last week, we did a show on drugs, which was very spirited. And if you want to see that show, it was really a good show. You know, we debated very strongly. Go to www.hispanics.speakout.tv, and you will see the show on the website, or you can see it on YouTube. And basically, we talked about drugs and how drugs are affecting our society, and whether to legalize some drugs, and whether how to address some of the drug issues. But just in keeping with the closing of that show, I'm going to take a little break now, and I'm going to present you with 2 videos that are only a few seconds long, just to close and remind you of the concept of acceptability of the drug culture in America. And we'll be back in 1 minute.
When I was in England, I experimented with marijuana a time or 2, and I didn't like it, and didn't inhale. And
look, when I was a kid, I inhaled frequently. That was the point.
Welcome back, and this is Danny Ramos. I'm glad that you saw that, and also the photo of one of those individuals in his younger years. And let's talk about what? Let's talk about food stamps.
Yeah, that's a hot topic.
Food stamps is always a hot topic. It's always a hot topic. Lead off, Jose, your game.
J.P. Morgan.
J.P. Morgan was on food stamps.
And they are making, since 2007, those poor boys supporting the debit card have made over $560 million.
What debit card? What are you talking about?
They're the ones that issue the little card with the flag. That's a food stamp card.
The recipients get.
Yeah,
so it's like a credit card.
Remember the coupon books?
No, I never used the coupon, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Well, anyway, those.
No, I didn't.
Well, they have these cards.
I starved. I was a lightweight. I was 98 pounds when I was 22. Good.
Well, they're responsible for these cards.
Really?
Yeah. And they're making money up a year.
Well, how do they make money? They manufacture the card and they put money on the card and then they make money processing it?
But remember,
they make everything over it. And they also are so kind.
How much did they make?
$500 and some are $540 million. Okay, and they're so kind, and they actually police themselves. So out of maybe
so no fraud is allowed.
No, not on their part at all. So you have 200,000 people.
I gotta laugh.
You have 200,000 merchants. Okay. That participate in the program, okay? 200,000 across the United States and our neighboring countries that we supervise, that the bank is involved with. And they are so concerned, so diligently concerned about fraud, that they only have 100 investigators to handle the over 200,000 stores.
In the entire United States
in
of
the entire
America.
United States and the Virgin Islands and Puerto
That's
Rico.
like the Senate, you know? You only have 2 representatives in every state.
And okay, so they're so concerned, and they continue to make, and they make money when the participant loses a card, they make money. When they use a card, they make money. Okay, anything associated with that card.
But Jose, you got to be fair. What other way of processing this could there be? To give out physical stamps?
No, I mean you should allow maybe the person to choose a bank and have the government, like child support checks. I'll give you an example. I receive child support. I have a bank. So what does the government do after the absent parent sends the money via check, via cash, however it is that he sends it? I don't know, and I don't care as long as I get it. Because he will know that I will take him to court. That's another topic. But anyways, bottom line is, it goes straight to my bank. I have my card. Why does it have to be one bank? Why does it have to be one bank?
Because somebody made a deal. And they bought a 100-foot yacht.
Obviously. But what I'm saying is, I agree with Jose 100%. It should not be one bank overseeing government money for welfare or food stamp recipients. By the way, the name has changed too. It's called SNAPS now.
SNAPS?
It's no longer food stamps. It's SNAPS.
It's like cookies when you snap them.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And it's every state has issue with the food stamps. Okay, California I think is leading the nation in terms of fraud. But again, the idea of
well, California's so expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know what? The only way that they find fraud, whether it's getting on welfare or getting food stamps, the only way they find fraud is if your neighbor snitches on you.
Well, that's because you don't have a lot of fraud investigators.
Okay. No, they don't. But there's no type of investigation here, man. And people are blaming the people who
there's no check and balance. And obviously, do you think they want to have a check and balance? No.
The system has been gamed, okay, to a certain degree. However, most people, I would say, do not participate, don't like the program, use it out of necessity.
I don't like the program.
Okay, and
I've never used it.
And they out of necessity. Some people need it.
Some people need it.
It's viable.
Do you think it should be?
You made the point that some people need it.
Right.
Okay. Other people abuse it. Okay.
How long should a person be on a food stamp program if they're receiving food stamps? Should it be like unemployment? Hey, we're going to help you out for a year or whatever it is, and then bam, you're done?
You actually put into unemployment. You know, it comes out of your money, and you have to pay taxes on unemployment. It's not free money either. You know, once you get your unemployment checks at the end of the year, guess what? You owe money on that money. I think food stamps should be on a case-by-case basis, obviously.
Yeah, but they can't, you know.
How are they taxed?
When you go to the grocery shop, they charge you taxes.
No, they do not.
They don't?
No, on food, they don't tax you on food.
Really?
Yes, really.
When was the last time you went shopping?
I know.
But I'll tell you this, there's a bodega in New York.
Oh, well, that's a different story.
There's a grocery store in New York that was caught.
Why did you do
that? Listen, there was a grocery store in New York. And the grocery store, single grocery store, because you can't do it with chains, okay? And that grocery store, you would go in, and you got, let's say you gathered $1,000 in food stamps or credit, You go into the grocery store. He gives you $300 or $400 in cash, and he keeps $600, which he gets back from the government. He was caught and tracked, and in 1 year, he made $985,000 in profit on the food stamp scam that he was perpetrating in New York. That's one retailer. One retailer.
But that's just one type of scam.
Out of 200,000.
And that's just one type of scam.
And you have JP Morgan
other people
utilizing
doing
the whole bunch.
Yeah, but you know, the difference
You're
is...
going to blame the bodega, or you want to go after the big guy who's making the...
Well, the problem is you can't go after the big guy because they're protected by the big guys in government.
Exactly.
That's the way it works. You know, that's the way the system works.
And do you think that all the people who have this exchange of monies do it so that in a fraudulent way, so they can just have money in their pockets?
No,
or is
not
it limited
all.
to the fact that you can't get toilet paper and toothpaste and all that kind of stuff that you need, necessities that you need?
I'm gonna share some of the experiences that I have observed.
I've been waiting for that.
Okay.
Share.
I have friends.
That's why we have you
obviously,
here.
okay? I have friends.
I'm glad I'm not your friend right now.
I have friends, okay?
Oh, so these are friends of friends of friends.
Friends of friends of friends.
Okay, so let's hear it.
Yeah, okay. They have, let's say, 3 kids, so the government gives them about $600 to $700.
It's about $200 per kid, right?
Okay, yeah, about.
Okay.
So what happens
Per month.
is,
Per month. Okay.
but that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what happens is, of
That's
course,
only if you eat rice and beans every day. Okay, some of us eat better.
No.
$50 you can eat okay for a kid.
A month?
Because I pay cash every week when I go to the supermarket.
It's $200 a month per child.
Per child.
Average, that's $50 a week per child.
So that's
more than plenty. But anyway, let me get back to my story. Can I get back to my story?
The story about the friend of a friend of a friend.
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
So they get $600. So what they do is they'll tell a friend of a friend of a friend, hey, meet me at Walmart. Okay. I got $600. You do your grocery.
And I'll give you the cash. I'll give it.
And give me $400 back.
Right.
Okay. So they're winning. I mean, remember next month they won't do this scam, but this month they got $400.
Yeah, it's not only that. There are people who are overclaiming the kids that they have. They don't have investigators. So, you know, I have 2 kids, you know, and I really have 2 kids. I have 4, and they report 4.
What you mean it's not a majority?
It's you're inciting or alluding to the fact that multiple people are doing this.
A lot of people.
A lot of people are doing that.
And I gotta say, a lot of people.
I think the percentage
because,
is small.
okay, again, you just finished saying.
But you want to know something?
No, you just finished saying that's a lot of money. That's more than enough money. Every month, if you get $600 in food stamps for food for all them kids, granted, half of these people will not be buying that much food for them kids within that month. Granted, okay, because I've seen it. And how many stories do we hear
I
that
thought you were
kids?
doing a friend of a friend of a friend. Now you're talking about you saw it.
Well, she saw it. Okay.
I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. You go to somebody's house, they got like 20 kids. You open the refrigerator, there's no food, but everybody's smoking and drinking. You don't see that? How many kids don't?
Well, that's
don't
another
get
thing. That's a big thing.
Taken out of homes because that's the lifestyle that is provided.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of that going on where the food stamps are being traded for cash to buy liquor, alcohol.
Saying that a majority of people are doing it.
I can't say a majority because the United States is so big.
So basically, what you're saying is there's
a lot. There's a big range. Let's say a big range.
Okay. Fraud exists to the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, you're talking about a huge amount of people that are on food stamps and receiving food stamps. It's supposed to be 1 out of 4 in the country.
And what's the limit? When is the limit? When do you?
Yeah, it's 1 out of 4 in the country receiving food stamps.
When is the limit? When do they stop not receiving food stamps? I want to know that. That's what I want to know. When does a person stop receiving food stamps?
Probably never. The economy's not getting better.
But when are they supposed to stop?
Well, listen, we're going to take a little break. This is Danny Ramos, and we'll be back in a minute. We're in hard times, and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
The Christian Star began as a newspaper whose news focus of interest was of Christians. But it's become a lot more than that, covering issues of concerns to our community, covering issues of national, state, local, and political agendas that affect us today. The Christian Star is available free at any 7-Eleven store. So pick up your copy of the Christian Star Bilingual free at 7-Eleven today.
Ahora puedes demostrar tu orgullo hispano mientras manejas en la carretera con la nueva tablilla o placa de auto hispana conmemorando los 500 años del descubrimiento de Florida por Juan Ponce de León.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana este año y harás la diferencia.
Nuestra comunidad se beneficiará con más programas y servicios.
Resalta nuestra cultura, nuestras raíces.
Hi, this is Danny Ramos, and welcome back to Hispanic Speak Out. We took a little break there to give you some information about hiring a lawyer and also the Hispanic license plate. I'm here with Daisy and Jose, and we were talking about the food stamp fraud situation in America, which is now into the hundreds of millions of dollars being lost every year in taxpayer money because there is no monitoring system. And not only is there no monitoring system, the banking system perpetuates this whole thing because they're making hundreds of millions of dollars on the food stamp program. So they want it to go on just as much as the recipients want it to go on, and the loser is the taxpayers.
And we already have enough welfare in our government.
Okay,
Congress and Senate.
I agree.
Okay, so
they should
we should cut back.
I think that they should take a budget cut. You know, that's okay. So now we have people receiving food stamps, approximately $200 per child. We already know that a lot of that, the food stamp usage is fraud because they exchange, the grocery stores are offering partial cash. So you give the grocery store $500 in food stamps.
That's an assumption for some, not all.
Well, it's being done, and I just earlier before the break, I talked about a grocery store that made almost $1 million in 1 year on food stamp fraud by giving people 20% on the dollar in cash. So they bring in 1,000, he gives them 200 in cash, and then he turns in, he makes $800 profit by turning it into the government. That happens a lot in your single store areas, you know, stores that accept food stamps. And okay, and you were talking about
also this is ethically focused. Are we saying poor white people, poor black people?
I think it's poor white people. I think it's poor Hispanic people. I think it's poor black people. I think it's all mixed in. I think it's all turned in there together.
Agree.
So. But they do get the food stamp program, and they do get some cash out of the welfare system to buy other things other than food. Somebody came up with a great idea and said, okay, we'll only use it for food. But then they had to realize that, hey, they need other stuff like soap, right? So now they're getting cash in order to buy other stuff. So they're getting the card, like a little Visa card type thing, and they get food with that, but they also get cash, okay? And they also get Section 8 housing.
Some.
What's Section 8 housing? Some, but what?
Some, it's just to subsidize, let's say you find a home for $800.
Do you agree with all of this? I mean, you're a Hispanic single woman.
I've worked since the age of 14.
Okay.
I've had 3 children. I've raised all 3 children, and I've also gone to school and educated myself. So I've never received any kind of public assistance other than the 4C program, which is a subsidized program for childcare. Which every year through the United Way Fund, I always give a contribution because they, in fact, did help me.
So maybe we should cut that.
No, because that is subsidizing some people actually going to work and having
food stamps
becoming productive.
No, it does not.
Yes, it does. It doesn't
no,
enable them. It doesn't.
It does.
It does
some, not all. Okay. Some. It becomes a way of life.
Well, that's the big issue between what. Whether we're creating a system that nobody can get out of. In other words, it becomes so dependent that people say, okay, I'm eating, I got a roof over my head, I got a TV set, why should I go work?
Correct.
Okay, so.
My question was, when does it end? What time frame?
I don't think it'll ever end. I don't think it's ever going to end.
Okay,
I think that the politicians
and I want to keep having children for the rest of my life.
Well, that's another issue.
The government should
because there are women who have children just to increase their check and their food stamps, which they turn into cash. Now, we're not going to have a long time, we don't have a lot of time to talk about that, but you know and I know that there are these mothers out there that have had 15 kids or a dozen kids in order to draw in money.
In California, you talked about California.
That's an octomom. Octomom is 8.
She has 14 kids.
14.
14.
Okay, and she gets housing,
Well,
she gets money.
They're looking into fraud. She's not found guilty. They're looking into the fraud because they allege that she makes over $200,000 a year.
Wow, 200,000. All right, this is Danny Ramos on Hispanic Speak Out. Tune in next week, and we will be talking about the octomoms, mothers who actually have children, okay, to have a bigger check coming in from your Uncle Sam. This is Danny Ramos, and you know what? We have a little segment coming up, okay? This is Danny Ramos, and I'll see you next week. And please stay tuned for the next segment, which is very, very important. I'll see you next week with Daisy and Jose. Stay tuned.
Good night.
¿Necesitas un abogado? Detente. No contrates un abogado simplemente por haberlo visto en un anuncio comercial. Lawyers Consumer Directory te ofrece la solución para todo tipo de problemas legales, tales como inmigración, bancarrota, divorcios, entre otros. Y hasta te ayuda a cómo contratar un abogado. No te rompa la cabeza buscando la solución cuando la tienes en tus manos. Adquiérelo gratis, sí, absolutamente gratis en cualquier 7-Eleven.
Welcome back to Hispanic Speak Out TV. I am Daisy Aruz here with Cesar Arvelo. We are going to talk about his art exhibit that he will be holding this weekend. So Cesar, how did this all start?
Well, basically, all of this started, it all started with a dream. I know this sounds cliche, but everybody in Orlando who is an artist wants to be exhibited. I always try to find ways to expose myself, and I found out about this through some local artists, and I went online to rawartist.org.
When you say Raw, is this a specific online website, or is it a program? I mean, how did you actually initiate your contact with this Raw event?
Well, pretty much it's really simple. You just go on the website. It's rawartist.org, that's R-A-W, and it says how to become a raw artist. So I was very interested, and as soon as I clicked on it, I just kind of did a quick profile. And
so it's similar to Facebook. The only thing is it's designed specifically for artists who are trying to sell their art, or they're just trying to exhibit their art?
They can sell their art, but it's mostly for exhibits, mostly for promotional purposes.
Okay.
And it's not only just artists. It doesn't narrow down to a certain kind of artists. There's photographers, makeup artists, performing artists, digital designers.
So it's a range of individuals.
Yeah.
So if anybody was looking to hire someone, this would be the place for people to maybe hire someone as well?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Possibly.
So I understand that you have an event this week. Would you like to tell us about it?
Yeah. I'm going to be in the Raw Art Show. It's actually Raw Orlando, because this event is actually around the country. And in Orlando, we have our exhibit at the Abbey at Lake Eola.
Okay, so that's this week, Saturday, or next week?
It's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you just tell the audience the exact dates?
Yeah, it's going to be Thursday, April 4th. At the Abbey at Lake Eola. The address is 100 South Eola Drive. It's going to be from 8 p.m. to midnight. And the show is going to consist of photographers, performing artists, live music. There's going to be a nerdy burlesque show.
That sounds interesting.
It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a bar. It's cocktail attire, so if you're going to go, definitely make sure you
dress to impress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, who would be motivated, or what type of audience do you think this would be attracting to?
I don't want to categorize exactly the age group, because I've seen a really big variety.
We don't have to say age group, but we can say maybe students or professionals. I mean, you want to address it to maybe some specific groups. That way it grabs them and maybe, oh, I would be interested in doing this. Or if they're not interested in doing, what would make them interested?
Well, definitely if you're a creative person, I know, a lot of people don't like to claim that they live inside the box, so I'm gonna say the show is for everybody.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The event's actually 21 and up, so.
Okay, so it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody
Nowhere
specifically,
the age people.
but
okay.
Anybody 21 and older, you can be 99 and go.
So, with this event, what is it doing for the community? I mean, how is it aspiring to the community or to yourself or to the actual local artists that are attending or participating in the event?
Well, what I would say that this event does for myself and for other artists like me in Orlando, I feel like it definitely gives us a chance to, exhibit our work and actually get some kind of exposure. What it does to Orlando, in my opinion, is it's bringing, the talent to the world. It's bringing a world view of what Orlando has to offer. Because when it comes to art or design or whatever, the first thing you think of is New York or Chicago or California or whatever. Orlando.
So this broadens up instead of the Disney theme park. This is more of a venue, especially since the art exhibit will be opening up sometime next year. So you think this is really grasping the Orlando area as a tourist attraction?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would consider it a tourist attraction because not too many tourists know about it, but it's definitely more of a local thing. People that love art, that appreciate art, and every month it's definitely growing. There was hundreds of people last month, so.
So if someone was interested in getting involved, what do you recommend as an artist and as talented as you are? Obviously, if you're displaying your art, what would you tell the audience out there that really would be interested in maybe in the future exhibiting their talent and their creativity?
Well, all you got to do is definitely have an open mind, definitely come with great work, and to get involved, just go to www.rawartist.org and then click on how to become a raw artist, and your journey will take itself from there. Yeah.
This is really interesting, to have a creative mind on this show, because since we've been on the air for almost 9 years, we're trying to expand and bring a variation of different people and different cultures. So letting the audience know that we have talented people and also great creativity is a great thing to have in Orlando. So with that said, I'm gonna let Cesar again let the audience know when the show will happen, and that way we will close the show.
Yeah, this is actually the actual flyer. So if you see this floating around on the internet, it's actually called the Marvel show. Every month they kind of have their own theme. So yeah, the show is going to be April 4th. It's going to be a Thursday night from 8 p.m. to midnight. And it's $10 to get in. If you order your tickets online, $15 at the door, 21 and up.
Well, Cesar, thank you for joining our show, as well as our audience. We thank you. We look forward to seeing you next week. Again, this is Hispanic Speak Out TV, and I'm Daisy Aruz. Have a good evening.
We're in hard times, and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.